Yo, welcome back to SeaBed. It's been a while since I last played this. It's been like a week, I think. Yeah, basically I just got really sick and I could not speak at all. Or I could speak, but I would just cough constantly. And also I had the fucking FF14 world race, the Savage race to do. That took like a day and a half, and then I had to like catch back up on sleep after that. Anyway, I've been a bit busy. I usually record these in advance so I can keep uploading even if I'm busy, but since I've been sick, I didn't want to record too much to like fuck up my voice, so I kind of ended up being a little close, so I had to take a break for a week. But anyway, we're back. So it has been a week for me also, which means my memory of what's been happening might be a little bad. I do remember we unlocked tips just before I finished last time, so I should check that. Okay, I've had some time to think about the story as well, and specifically I've had time to think about what I said at the end of last episode. I think last time I said at the end that that this game seemed like it was gonna go in a direction where it was gonna be really what's the word, like abstract. Like it was kind of gonna be more of like a metaphorical, like symbolism thing rather than like a real like hardline mystery. And I've thought about that, and I've come to the conclusion that I am almost certainly 100% correct. I think I've been looking at my entire notes. I have like how many pages of notes? I have 7 pages of notes. I don't think there is any possible way that this game can answer all these questions in like I don't think there's any way the game can answer all these questions with answers that make sense. So the only like possible scenarios are that the answer isn't gonna make sense, or that it's gonna be like I guess that it's not gonna make sense on purpose. Like it's gonna be some sort of I mean, I said this last time, kind of like a 2236 AD, right? Is that what that game was called? I might have gotten the year wrong. Yeah, 2236 AD. Like that game, it kind of like is kind of a mystery, but kind of not, because a lot of them don't really have answer, and it's kind of like an abstract kind of like artsy thing. I have a sneaking suspicion that this game is gonna go in that exact direction. In fact, I'm almost certain, because I've read a lot of mysteries. I don't think there's any way this can be a mystery. There's just no way. There's just no way the game can answer all these questions I have. You guys can't see what I'm looking at, but I just have. There's so many question marks in my notes. Like, there's just no way. There's just no way. It's gonna be some sort of abstract, like, yeah, it's gonna be something like that. Still, I mean, the jury's still out whether it's gonna be like satisfying and good or not. Yeah, I don't know, but that's why I think the story's gonna go. I'm pretty sure. Okay, tips. I think it was right. We unlocked memories, so we have some stuff to look at here. Memories, flower petal. I washed my face in the sink. Okay, by the way, I'm still not 100% like over my sickness. I might still cough a little. I'll try to mute and not cough into the mic, but I might still do it sometimes, so sorry. Its cold touch bit into my skin, helping me wake up. A single flower petal circled in the whirlpool created by the drain. I scooped it out. I looked at the mirror to realize there was an empty vase in front of it. I placed the flower petal by it and wiped my face with a nearby towel. I brushed my hair, changed into a fresh set of clothes, and left the room. That's it? Oh, okay. So someone took a bath and there was a flower petal that fell from a plant nearby, and they picked it up? Okay. Cool tip. Apricot. Oh, this is the same background that was used when Sachiko went to drink and had a conversation with Narasaki. A waiter in a monochrome uniform came over to my table, so I broke my gaze from the red flower in the vase. Another flower in the vase. He shoved me the bottle I ordered. His attire reminded me of those models of foreigners they'd had in the Western apparel stores. When I nodded, he placed 2 glasses on the table, filling them with drink. Both glasses seemed to contain the exact same amount of liquid, almost as if he had some volume calculator in his hands. Saying nothing else, the waiter left. Is that an apricot on the bottom? Sachiko asked. She was sitting in front of me. Are we Narasaki? There's a large apricot on the bottom of the bottle. I nodded. This one is distilled from fermented fruit. What do you mean, I nodded? Sachiko nodded. You didn't nod. Or are you... This one is distilled from fermented fruit. It's pretty strong, said Sachiko as she read the label. I hear it's supposed to be sweet, so it should be easy to drink despite the strength. You've never had it before? A friend from Serbia recommended it to me when I mentioned Umeshu to him. You have friends from Serbia? He said they had sweet alcohol there as well. Apparently it's popular in the Balkans. According to him, almost everyone had a homemade stash of it in their house. I got interested but never had the chance to try it until now. I didn't know you were knowledgeable about alcohol. I'm not. I just drink what people recommend to me from time to time. Admittedly though, there are a few things better in life than a delicious meal and a good drink to go with it. I took a sip of the drink before Sachiko. Just like I'd heard, it passed through my throat like water, leaving only a fruity sweetness and a strong alcoholic warmth. It was just the kind of taste I liked. It just might be a bit hotter in the throat than I thought. I warned Sachiko as she was about to tilt her glass. Sachiko took a small sip, only about 1/5 of the glass. It is pretty easy to drink. She placed the glass back on the table. I felt some warm brush through my head as I finished the glass, prompting me to order something for dessert. I wouldn't usually get drunk this fast. I didn't know whether it was because I hadn't drunk in a while or if I was simply exhausted from work, but I figured this was a good place to stop. I can't see our office from here, but what about your clinic? Sachiko's gaze. Okay, so this is Narasaki. Sachiko's gaze was fixed on the panorama of the city beyond the window. Countless streetlights flickered in the distance, making the contours of the city a little difficult to make out from the bar on the 31st floor. I'm not sure. I could probably tell if it was bright outside. I looked back at Sachiko. Her eyes were still fixed on the nighttime cityscape. I'm sorry. We're on the 31st floor? What? Where the fuck are we? 31st floor? What? Isn't this crazy? Her long black hair fell on her ears when she tilted her head, hiding them from sight. Would you like another round? I asked when I noticed that her glass was empty. Just one more then, she replied. Sachiko picked up the glass I filled for her and took a small sip. I don't usually drink much, but I like this, and the food was pretty good too. I better write down the name of this place. I nodded. They've got exotic drinks, offer good snacks to go along with them, and the view is fantastic. What more could a girl want? It's just the kind of place I've been looking for lately. I can't imagine you going to a bar alone though. Yeah, I guess you have a point there, said Sachiko. When it comes to this place, I usually reserve a bottle or two in advance, so feel free to join me if you ever feel like it. That sounds almost a little too nice, or is that part of the treatment too? Perhaps, I mean the thoughtful gesture. Sachiko slightly tilted her head to the side. Why did you choose this line of work, Narasaki? I've wanted to be a doctor ever since I was a kid. I forgot why though. Wasn't it difficult to get there though? I imagine you have to study a lot. I don't think I feel strongly about personal preferences as the average person. Okay. I never considered studying to be particularly boring, nor did I ever feel like doing anything else. Maybe my own insensitivity is what made me want to learn more about how the mind of others worked. Chichiko's eyes grew incredulous for a moment and wandered to my empty glass. I think I've had enough for the night, I said, then changed the subject by asking if she was enjoying her current job. After that, we spent some time discussing work. Okay. The fact that this bar is on the 31st floor of a building is kind of crazy to me, but okay. Water game is gonna be in the kindergarten with the hose with the sand. Okay, it doesn't look like it. What does it look like? Okay, never mind. This branch looked... Okay, never mind. Once we paid our bill, we stepped outside into the cold night. I noticed Takako staggering while I was adjusting the position of my scarf. I clasped her arm out of reflex. Was that a bit too much for you? No, I'm fine. I didn't realize how hot I was until I got outside, but I'm okay now. It was close to midnight, but the neon signs all around us made the night hardly any darker than the middle of the day. As we were passing by the parking of the station, we spotted a fully decorated Christmas tree. They're getting a bit ahead of themselves, aren't they? I remember seeing Halloween decorations here just a few weeks ago. This does fit with the timeline of this when we saw it in the story. Like when we saw them at the bar, I do think it was around like before Christmas, right? Pretty sure. It's nice to have something to look forward to. Something to look forward to, huh? After that, we passed through the station gates and ascended to the train platform. There weren't that many people there at this hour. Sachiko's scarf hid half of her face, but I could still see her exhaling white breaths. Do you remember all your Christmas presents from previous years? Not really. I remember getting lots of clothes when I was little, though. Oh, really? What kind? I recall a frilly skirt and some dress with tons of ribbons. I wanted more clothes that were easy to move in, like the one Takako used to wear, so I remember not being very happy with my presents. Your parents probably wanted you to grow up with the kind of lady those clothes would fit. Sachiko's clouded expression suddenly cleared up. One time I remember getting this weird toy from Takako. It was a small transparent box with water where you had to get rings in a big coral by pushing a button that created a stream inside and swept everything around. You've talked about this before, right? I think you talked about this at the hotel with oh god, what was her name? What was her name? The green hair girl. Oh god. Hang on. Okay, I don't remember her name, but I think you talked about this with the green hair little girl. Oh, I know that one. I've seen something like that at my hairdresser's. Sachiko nodded. Didn't you have this exact same conversation, actually? Now that you mention it, I do recall... Maybe you had this conversation with Narasaki and not the other one. Now that you mention it, I do recall spotting them at a number of barber shops. It's a great time killer. Kind of like puzzle rings and journals. I tried recalling more details about that toy as the train passed by us in the opposite lane, but couldn't remember much besides the fact that it was there. They were everywhere. I wonder if the union recommended them or something. I think it was just a fad. Lots of oddities were popular back then. A fad. Was there anything else like it? Well, there was a spring that could climb down the stairs, then the fishing game where the fish would keep opening and closing their mouths, and all sorts of driving games that came with actual wheels and gears. I also remember a flower that would react to sounds. Those are all toys. I like them. Some people call me childish because of that, but I don't care. I know all the ones you listed, by the way. Be careful with that. People will find out how old you are. I don't mind, and it makes me happy to remember those things. I see. I always made fun of fads, but it's nice to share a memory with someone. You don't see that many crazy fads these days. Now that you mention it, why do you think that is? There's a huge variety of toys nowadays, so people usually just get the ones that they like and ignore the others. I glanced up at the electric board and one more time to check the scheduled time at arrival for a train. Sachiko regarded the lane with drowsy eyes. But considering your line of work, wouldn't you know more about fads than me? I suppose so. What you said is basically how I felt as well. Most of our work consists of making ads for products, and most of them are geared towards a specific group of people. Unusual designs that stand out tend to be more popular at first compared to traditional ones, but they go out of style sooner. It's become harder and harder to make something that would appeal to everyone. I see. I saw the light of the train appear at the end of the lane. Have you ever considered how an increase in all these material things that serve as a distraction led to a deterioration of our imagination? No, I have not considered that. I might have. I see you're past your prime. What? Why? That didn't sound like you at all. Really? The old you would have said something along the lines of, so what? Maybe I'm just drunk. Maybe you are. The train stopped in front of us and opened its doors. Sachiko had her eyes closed, staying silent for most of the trip. I decided to escort her to the entrance of our apartment as we reached the station nearest to her home. Naturally, Sachiko refused at first, but I wouldn't relent. After seeing her off, I considered walking to the clinic instead of taking the train again. I passed a few creepy alleyways along the way and arrived at the clinic in just under 30 minutes. I unlocked the outside door. Wait. You walked from Sachiko's home to your clinic in 30 minutes? Really? They're that close? Okay. That's surprising. I unlocked the outside doors and entered the dark corridor. I continued down the night duty room with confident steps. It was pitch dark inside the room, but I knew every single nook and cranny of the place, so it posed no problems. I unfastened my hair, washed my face, got changed, and lay down on my futon. Lying on my back, I adjusted the height of the pillow and closed my eyes. I thought about what I had discussed with Sachiko. Then I remember a patient that used to frequent this place. Is it the foreign bin guy? The way Sachiko acted today reminded me of that same patient. What do you mean by that? Oh, okay, you're not gonna explain? Okay. Sachiko reminds her of an old patient. Alright, that's all the tips. Don't know what I'm supposed to get from that, but... Is Sachiko reminding her of an old patient supposed to be like some of this thing happened in the past and it's reminding her of whatever. Whatever. Okay, where were we? Here. Okay, what was happening? Oh yeah, the last thing we saw was Takako and Sachiko in like I think it was New York or something, like a city like that, and they were taking pictures, and they kissed. I think. Okay. Let's go with this. Soft footsteps reverberated between the corridor's walls as my heels slipped out of the slippers and hit against the floor with every step. The sound disappeared as I slowed my pace. The sun was still high in the west sky. The sun was still high in the west sky. The sun was still high in the west sky. Since you're saying still, okay, so you're dreaming. So right now you are in your mind palace, Takako. I'm afraid to tell you, because we know that in dreams, as Narasaki told us famously, in dreams the sun rises in the west and sets in the east, and you say the sun was still high in the west sky. Okay, but I guess it could be the evening also. It's hard to tell. In fact, the fact that she says the word still makes me think that this is the evening. Because if the sun was rising from the west, you wouldn't say the sun was still high. You would say the sun had gotten high. The fact that she says it's still high, it feels like, oh, it's high in the west sky and it's been high for a while. Like it's not coming down. It's supposed to. So I guess you're not in a dream, or maybe you are. I guess we just need to pay attention if they talk about the time, like whether it's evening or morning. If it's morning, then Takako, you're trapped in your mind palace right now. I'm sorry to say. A long ridge extended in the background of the west ward. The sky, its hue, a warm mixture of yellow, crimson, and purple, stretched above it. Wait, the west ward? I thought you stayed in the east ward. Right? Yeah. Yeah, you're supposed to be in the eastern ward. Why are you in the western ward? It was still relatively bright outside. This was a time when the interior lights would begin to flicker on. As I observed the patterns, the artificial light... Wait, I'm sorry. It was still relatively bright outside. Okay, yeah, so this is the evening. Okay, never mind then. You're not trapped in your mind palace. As I observed the patterns, the artificial light cast on the windowsill, I tried humming the tune I heard in the shopping district with Mayuko, but I couldn't remember the melody. In the end, it came out as a bit of a mess. I gave up and realized my heels were hitting against the floor again. I knocked on the night duty room's door. Really? Mayuko's room is in the western hall? I didn't get that feeling from the previous scenes, but okay. Mayuko? I opened the door to find the room dark and empty. Removing my slippers, I stepped inside and flicked the light switch. However, even after pulling the string dangling from above, the room remained dark. I flipped the switch on the wall again. This time the light came on. Okay. Oh, great. I let out a sigh and continued to the kitchen while stretching my hands. I filled the kettle with water, placed it on the stove, and lit the flame below it. Then I rose on my tiptoes to open the cabinet above me. After confirming its contents, I closed it back up. Next, I opened the cabinet located further into the kitchen. I took out a pack of sweet bean jelly from it. It seemed to have hardened over time. I chopped it into small pieces, then placed them all in a small plate. I grabbed a pack of toothpicks from the shelf and stuck one into each piece. As I removed 2 teacups from the shelf and finished washing the knife, a continuous high-pitched sound began filling the room. I filled the teapot with green tea leaves and freshly boiled water, and placed it on a tray, right next to the teacups and the pieces of hardened sweet bean jelly. Just as I finished parting the curtains and placing the tray on the table, something black abruptly passed through my field of vision. Whoa! The tray clouded on the table as I staggered backwards a bit. Following the black thing with my gaze, I realized it was a butterfly that had somehow found its way into my room. The room, not my room. And how did you get in here? I glanced at the white flower vase on the windowsill. The butterfly landed on the dried up camphor tree branch. I see. I took the notebook from the shelf. The butterfly passed right by my face again. I followed it with my gaze as it flew towards the ceiling, its black, blue-striped wings vigorously fluttering in the air. I sat down on the reddish-brown futon, placing the notebook on the table, resting my chin on my palms, and continued observing the butterfly. Oh, is this supposed to be, No. It was a ladybug, right? That she... Or was it a caterpillar? I don't remember, but Mayuko saved some sort of insect, right? I thought maybe this is supposed to be the same one, but I thought it was a ladybug, not a caterpillar. Maybe I'm misremembering though. Getting tired of it after a while, I opened the notebook. I realized I was beginning to treat it very carefully. After all, I now knew it belonged to Sachiko. It almost felt like she was telling me about the past I had forgotten. Didn't you say the handwriting was wrong? Yeah, you said it's not Sachiko's handwriting, right? Or was that Narasaki that said that? Dude, I'm getting all these details confused now. It's so over. September 22nd, 1975. 1975? So you're like in elementary school, right? You should be. The clouds that had been covering the sky since early in the morning began to shower the ground with rain come noon, forcing us to change up our plans of playing outside and instead settle for a game of musical chairs inside. The children circled around a bunch of chairs as a simple piano melody played in the room. As I felt to grab a chair in the first round, I was now watching them play from the sidelines. Takako was still with the others, alert and ready for the song to stop playing at any second. She had a dead serious expression on her face, reminding me of cowboys during quick draw scenes in western flicks. The music suddenly stopped. The children dashed towards the chair. Takako was the first to react and started towards the closest one, but due to her position, she was further away from either of the chairs than the children around her. Takako gave up on the chair to the left, seeing how a boy had almost already reached it. Instead, she twisted her body and leaped towards the chair to the right. She crashed into the shoulder of the boy who was about to sit down and swept him away before ultimately landing in the chair. The chair tilted to the side on two of its legs, but Takako managed to balance it back down. That day marked her first ever victory in a game of musical chairs. Her eyes sparkling in triumph, Takako received the golden origami medal from the nurse. She spent the rest of the day with that thing dangling from her neck. The nurse again! They keep talking about the nurse. Takako's mother was the first to show up when it was time for us to go home. Before leaving, Takako handed the medal to me. I watched it sparkle in the evening sun, up until my parents came to pick me up. Okay, so you do have parents, Sachiko? I had kind of assumed that your parents were dead, but apparently you do have parents. Okay, my bad. I felt a bit sleepy as I finished reading that short passage. The butterfly was still flapping its black wings and was now flying in the direction of the closed window. I thought it would crash into the glass, but it slowed down just a few centimeters before that, instead of landing on the curtain. Tired? Or perhaps it was sulking at the fact that it couldn't escape. Just chill a little. I'm tired too. Besides, it wouldn't be nice of you to leave without even saying a word to Mayuko now, would it? You see, in human societies, debts need to be repaid, even if it's just food and shelter. Don't you think that should apply to butterflies as well? Okay, so I guess it is the same insect that Mayuko saved. It seems as though the insect had shaken its head. It had its gaze fixed on the white vase. Specifically, the pupa is still attached to a leaf of the camphor tree branch. Well, I guess your situation is a bit different. The butterfly remains still, seemingly considering my words. What? So, the pupa is still on the leaf? So it's not that? It's just in the same bug? Perhaps he really was sulking about not being able to go outside, but why did he assume he wanted to go there to begin with? I gave it another scrutinizing look. Well, I can understand how you feel. I imagine it feels a lot better to fly in a wide open space while surrounded by fresh air. There are flowers with honey you can eat, and if you're lucky, you might even find someone to have children with. The butterfly slowly spread its wings. As I was trying to say that, I didn't need to state the obvious. But it's not all fun and games outside. If you're unlucky, you might get eaten by a bird or get trapped in the web of a spider. If it rained, your wings could get moist and you'd have trouble flying. You'll face no such dangers in here, and you also won't have any food and you'll starve. The butterfly remained still with its wings spread. Perhaps it was thinking, or maybe the way it showed off the blue lines on its wings meant to convey agreement. I'll bring you a fresh flower if you stay. That's the least I can do. Okay, never mind. The butterfly slowly closed its wings. Or would you rather go outside after all? It spread its wings again. I thought I gave it a pretty good deal, but the butterfly didn't seem all too fond of it. Okay then, but you'll still have to wait until Mayuko comes back. I glanced out the window. The evening sky with hues of yellow. Okay, so it is the evening. Confirmed. Okay. So you are not in a dream. This is confirmed, not in a dream. This is real. Okay. With hues of yellow, crimson, and purple mixing into its canvas, loomed above the gentle mountain ridge in the distance. I'm sure she'll be back before dark. I placed one of my hands on the notebook and rested my chin on the other. Humans tend to stay with each other, but what about butterflies? I returned my gaze to the butterfly. Maybe you'll change your mind come morning. Sunny said that it gets comfortable staying in the same place once you get used to it. The butterfly remained completely still with its wings spread. Perhaps it was waiting for the window to open. It seemed like it wanted to soar the high skies. I remember I likened Sunny to a fish before drifting off to sleep once. A little fish swam in the sea while butterflies soared through the sky. Besides, back then I was thinking about which place Sunny had adapted to, rather than where she wanted to be. I remember how she asked me if I wanted to leave. It was nice to eat snacks with Mariko, read books with Sunny, and make fun of Kozue from time to time. Kozue, that was her name. The Christmas party had turned into a fond memory. If I kept arranging events like that from time to time, I figured I'd never feel bored. I was certainly satisfied enough with this place to recommend it to the butterfly. Sunny said that she lost any reason to go outside. I felt like I could understand what she meant now, more so than back then. I touched my ears. Maybe I'd soon be able to breathe underwater as well. What? Is this some kind of joke about how you liken Sunny to a fish because fish swim in the sea? Is it some sort of weird metaphor? I felt like I would if I remained in this place for a while longer. I turned into a fish, not a butterfly. Okay, it is. I was slowly getting used to the serene life in here, that much was certain. Was that a good or a bad thing? I didn't know whether I wanted to stay here or leave. No wonder I couldn't understand the butterfly. If I stayed still with it, it stayed still with its wings spread out. I fell on Todd, gazing at the dazzling blue stripes on them. Staying here would be the easiest choice, but it would require little effort on my part and contain no risk, but I looked at the darkening sky, feeling my head growing heavy. I raised my chin from my palms, lowered my hands on the table, and instead placed my left cheek on them. Finally, I dug my fingers into my hair to support my head. This position was the result of many years of experimenting and research. It had served me well since my school years and continued to be of use even after I joined society as a working adult. Though it was easy on the neck and the arms, it would mess up my hair, so there was still some room for improvement. I closed my eyes, savoring the comfort it provided me with. My exhausted body was on the verge of drifting off to sleep. However, much like last time, a butterfly in Sunny in the form of a fish appeared in my mind's eye. I can't believe I'm actually treating this butterfly business so seriously. Perhaps I relaxed a bit too much. It wasn't like me to doubt myself or be tired to begin with. I felt the sensation of the notebook's leather covering against my skin. The Takako I read about was always energetic and pursued her goals straight as an arrow. Her mind was clear and she always knew what she wanted. She might have been a bit of a dunce at times, but it was all very endearing. Reading through the diary gradually made my memories return. It had things I had forgotten and things I didn't know at all. Those passages contained mere glimpses into my life, but remembering them brought back other memories as well. They made me recall certain episodes of my life in striking detail, right down to the various scents I experienced on the given day. And whenever I thought back to my feelings from those times, I'd feel a smoldering fire come back to life deep within my heart. Sasuke brought back feelings of anxiety and uneasiness I had long forgotten. My memories of her warmed and brought the rusted mechanism of my heart back to life. Almost like they were repairing the missing cogs of the contraption, returning them to their intended positions. And yet this was but a small, insignificant agitation of my heart at best. It was no more significant in action than an ant climbing upon an elephant's back, or the faint ripples caused by a pebble thrown into a pool of water. If I closed the notebook, the feeling would vanish, as if it was never there to begin with. Sonia said that the more she got used to this place, the harder it became to leave. Back then, I didn't think much of it. And now, I couldn't tell whether that was a good or a bad thing. I put those two on imaginary scales. Their arrow continued to pointing at zero, refusing to move. But that wasn't enough of a reason to leave. I want to meet Sachiko one more time before I end up stuck here forever. I was sure that meeting her would help me remember everything, and would fix the ringing in my ears as well. Should I remain here or not? I might find the answer to that question if I met her. I have to see her. As I found myself lost in those thoughts, the fish and the butterfly slowly drew away from the back of my eyelids. Okay, that was a very interesting scene. So what is the fucking asylum? Like, what is it? It's clearly not a normal place. Wake up! My bedsheet got pulled away by some mysterious force. The warm morning sun burned my eyes. Just 5 more minutes. Your coffee will get cold. The hand I extended towards the source of the voice fell limp onto the bed. I can't fight gravity. Thinking that made me feel even weaker. My body's getting heavier and heavier. At this rate, I'll start to sink into the mattress and create a black hole, sucking in everything around me, light included. That's amazing. Why not pitch it to the physics conference? Anyway, quit goofing around and get up already. You're leaving as soon as you get dressed. I don't wanna... I reached out and pulled the first thing I grabbed to myself. Sachiko fell on top of me. Okay. Opening my eyelids, I saw her black eyes staring back at me. I raised my neck slightly and kissed her lips. I was once again blinded by a light as she pulled her head and thus her curtain of dark hair away from me. A moment later, she hurled her hand back on my face. They say that this helps people with low blood pressure. Then get out of bed already. Okay. Oh! This is the room. This is the room that Narasaki saw when she got fucking mind freaked while reading the journal in the tips. Okay, so where are they right now? As Sachiko climbed out of bed and got changed, I handed her the bag resting on my knees. Your fried eggs are on the table. I love you, Sachiko. Yeah, great. Sachiko left the room. I jumped off the bed and stepped out onto the corridor. Where are you right now? Is this your old house? Hold this for me. Sachiko handed me her bag again. She didn't get to her knees and leaned down, letting the slit of her skirt reveal her thighs. Very lewd. Her long eyebrows painted beautiful half arcs on her lowered face. Her long flowing hair slipped down her shoulders, prompting Sachiko to try and pin it down next to her ear. Thanks. She raised her face and smiled at me as she finished putting on her shoes. My vision began to clear up, dispelling my prior drowsiness. I woke up with such keen senses that I felt I could hear the very blood pumping through my vein. Where was that? I raised my face and rubbed my eyes, only to realize that blanket slid down from my shoulders. I saw Mariko sitting in front of me, sipping tea from one of the cups I brought over. Was I sleeping? You were. I see. You've got a mark here. Mariko pointed at her cheek. I rubbed my cheek with one hand and brushed my mouth with my knuckles. You were sleeping like a baby. You could have woken me up instead of staring, you know? I was worried you'd be angry if I interrupted a nice dream. I wouldn't get angry over something like that. I told her she was free to wake me up next time. I looked around the room. It had already grown dark outside. The sweet bean jelly plate was covered up by a blue sheet with white dots. I picked up a teacup and took a sip of the cold tea. I glanced up at the ceiling, but the black butterfly from before was nowhere to be seen. A white vase with an empty pupa rested on the windowsill by the open window. Did the butterfly leave? It flew off towards the mountain as soon as I opened the window. I see. So it was courteous enough to wait for you at least. Mariko gave me a puzzled look. I wonder what kind of species it was. I think it was a common blue bottle. Oh my god, stop! Stop just knowing the name of every single species of animal, please. So that's what they were called. I spot them around here from time to time. They're found all across Japan. Depending on the season, you might catch a glimpse of them in Tohoku and even Kyushu. You seem to know a lot about them. You know a lot about everything. Everyone knows a lot about everything. It's a species I'm particularly fond of. I mean, just look at how beautiful the blue stripes are. Mariko smiled. I nodded. I like that blue color too. I remember spending an entire day chasing after one with an insect net when I was little. It flew off to the other side of the river, though I ended up never catching it. I'm sure it was for the best for the butterfly, at least. You don't think about these things too deeply when you're little. I just remember that I really wanted it because it looked different from the swallowtail butterflies I was used to seeing. I actually spent a couple of years after that thinking I still wanted to get my hands on one. So how did it feel to finally succeed? I was glad to see it from up close. For a moment, I felt like a child again. And that made you sniff on my sweet bean jelly I've been keeping for a later date? She pierced a piece of the gel with a toothpick. I did that before finding the butterfly. Then imagine there was little need for the butterfly to make you feel that way. I smiled as she gave me a reprimanding look. Well, it's alright, but there are some confectionaries I'm keeping for guests, so please ask before you take something next time, okay? Okay. You seem to have been in good spirits lately. Oh yeah, I've had no fit since that last one. If you're feeling that well, then perhaps I should assign you more duties. Ah, this is weird. I suddenly feel very sick. Good grief. I yawned and took another sip of the tea. Are you still sleepy? Mariko smiled at me after eating a piece of jelly. Can't say I'm fully rested, to be honest, and I had a dream too. You were talking in your sleep. Really? What kind of dream did you have? It was from the time I was living with Sachiko. Mostly just dull little things like frying eggs in the morning or seeing her off at the entrance as she left for work. But you weren't working? I tried remembering more, but by the time I woke up, the whole thing had slowly melted away like sugar in warm water. Oh, maybe this is at the time that you were sick, right? Because in the tips, it said that you died from an illness. So that would also explain why there were curtains around the bed, and that would explain why you're not working. So she's the one you live together with? As I answered with a quick yep, Micah seemed to fall in thought for a moment. Do you still love her? I don't know. I loved her more than life itself before we separated, but we're not together anymore. I can tell when she's not around. I see. Micah appeared to have fallen in thought again. Curious to learn what she was thinking, I strained my ears, almost expecting to hear her thoughts. I picked up the teacup and pretended like I was inspecting its bottom. I felt like I could hear the flopping of a butterfly's wings. I saw a glance on Maiko's face. She looked back at me, her eyes a bit narrower than usual. I wish it was a look of jealousy or merely an attempt to read my expression. Unfortunately, it was nothing so light-hearted. It was the look of someone cornered by something. She looks just like Sachiko when she wanted to discuss something serious. In moments like that, I, too, would take care to watch what I'd say. Sachiko would always wait until I found the right words, no matter how long it took. I mean, are you Sachiko? It's gotten pretty cold, hasn't it? Said Maiko after a long silence. Like a fish leaping out from beneath the calm, mirror-like surface of the lake. Maiko stood up, walked to the corner of the room, and flipped the switch on the electrical heater. Its two pipes lit up in red. After confirming the amount of remaining water on the panel, she walked to the kitchen and returned with a cup, the contents of which she poured into the tank. I thought about Sachiko as I observed her. I'd spent most of my life with her. I tried remembering the exact number of years. I met her 23 years ago. 23 years ago, you say? That does fit. Because in the intro, it said they met when they were 5. And at some point it said that Takako was 28 years old. So yeah, I guess that does make sense. But it's weird that you would still be 28 in this scene, though. I could still remember that quite vividly. The moment I met her near that sandbox when I was just 5, and when we finally separated. I tried remembering how exactly that went down, but I couldn't recall a single detail about it. It was like all my thoughts led me to a blindingly white room, but she still was someone I spent most of my life with. That alone was definitely true, and the diary I had now proved it. In all the entries, I was always by her side. The more I thought about it, the less I could understand why we ended up parting ways. Because you died! Or so, maybe you didn't die, but you got sick or something, I don't know. Oh. Okay, so... Okay, I can't see it because fucking Kozuo is in the way. But we're finally seeing the entrance, the lobby, from Takako's POV. We had only seen this room from Sachiko's POV before. And it does look the exact same. I guess it doesn't have the carpet, right? It had the carpet, I think. Wait, it even says reception here. Like it has a kanji for reception, I think. So, why would a mental asylum have a reception desk? I mean, I guess it would have, but it wouldn't look like this, right? Surely? I don't know. I met Kozue's eyes as I was about to pick up the stool in the lobby. What are you doing? She asked. Nothing. What about you? Same here. Kozue had my hairpin in her hair. Ha. Did you come to show off that hairpin? Kozue raised her eyebrows in surprise. Why do you even think that? Wait, does she have this hairpin in the other story? Oh, anyway, you came at the perfect time. I mean, I could go check right now. Actually, let's do that real quick. Kozue should show up pretty quick, right? She does not have the hairpin here. Okay. Anyway, you came at the perfect time. If you're not busy, can you help me out a little? Oh. Kozui's gaze traveled to the grandfather clock. I heaved the stool on my shoulder and gestured for her to come closer. It won't take long. I ascended the spiral staircase. Wait, hang on. Sorry. What does that say in the back? Yeah, that just says reception desk. Okay. I don't know if that word would be used for, like, a fucking sanatorium. Maybe. Kozui followed me in silence. I stopped in the middle of the stairs, placed the stool below one of the lights, kicked off my slippers, and climbed on it. Could you hold it for me? Kozui placed her hands on the stool placed her hands on the stool to steady it. I reached out to the lamp and seized its light bulb. I screwed it out of the socket and put it into my pocket, then moved the other light bulb from my mouth to my hand and screwed that into the socket instead. You're like an electrician. Actually, I got the qualification for this kind of work back in school. I'm the real deal. Really? I can fix almost anything when it comes to home electrical systems. My light keeps randomly turning off. You mean the light in your room? Yes. I'll give it a look once I'm finished with this one. Thank you. I stepped down from the stool and carried it into the next light. Once again, Kozui helped steady it for me. It's so weird that these lights keep going off so quickly. I climbed back onto my stool and reached under the lampshade. Sitting on the tripod, I unscrewed the seal on the ceiling. I pulled back a bunch of wires and found one with damaged insulation. The door opened as Kozui returned with Mayuko. We're getting a lot of new angles of what the rooms look like. It's weird that there's like a step here. How's it going? Mayuko asked, looking up at me from below. Those wires don't seem to be in a very good condition. Rats might have gotten to them. Or maybe they just deteriorated due to the salt in the air. But it'd probably be a good idea to call in a professional. I see. I returned the wires to their places and screwed the seal back on. Mayuko turned to Kozui. How long has it been since you moved into this room again? About half a year or so. Half a year since you've been here. I suppose it's the perfect time to change rooms then. But you could have been like in the sanatorium for longer. You've just been in this room for half a year. Kozui nodded. Takako, I'll prepare a new room for Kozui, so in the meantime, could you help her pack? Sure thing. Thank you very much. Anyway, just give me a few hours. Mayuko left the room. Well then. I looked around the room with only a single bed and a lone shelf inside. A tripod stood in the middle, a few crumbles of plaster from the ceiling lying beside it. Kozui slid the glass partition on the shelf open and began taking out the books. I folded up the tripod. I'll bring the cleaning tools, so collect your stuff in one place for now. Kozui had very few things, only a handful of books and some clothes. She put everything into the small cardboard box Miko brought over and carried it to the other room with her. Meanwhile, I cleaned the empty room and decided to move back to the night duty room after finishing. Before closing the door, I turned around once and gave the empty room a quick look. A space that had been Kozui's just moments before now had no trace of her left. Okay, we're flying through these. Is this the new room? No, this is yeah, this is your room. Where did you find it? Sonia raised her face from the book and gave the case I held a look. I borrowed it from Kozui's room. It was a transparent rectangular case filled with water, an old toy. Really? You have that? Huh. It had colorful pictures of fish on it and a bunch of plastic red rings inside. And on the bottom there was a big plastic coral. You could push a button to create water currents and send the rings swirling around inside. Yeah, I know. I managed to get some on the coral. I pushed the button harder, waiting to get a ring that fell far out to the side, but the strong current ended up sweeping the rings I already collected aside as well. Speaking of which room did Kozui move to? I think it was the corner room on the third floor of the western wing. I see. Sonia stared at me with her finger stuck in her closed book. Is that book good? Yes. I'm only halfway through, but would you like me to tell you about it? Is it SeaBed? No need, just lend it to me once you're finished. Okay. Sonia nodded. Huh? You're hurt, Takako? She pointed at my elbow. Oh. Sonia took out a band-aid box from the closet by the bed. I guess I brushed it against something. How could you not notice something like that? Sonia stood in front of me, ripping the band-aid seal off. I move around and get hurt a lot, so my brain probably doesn't even register small things like this anymore. I raised my elbow in front of her, which prompted Sonia to put a band-aid on it. You could use some exercise yourself, Sonia. You calling her fat? I agree, but it's not so easy when you're small and frail like me. How about jogging? Not that small. I got out of bed just climbing the stairs. If you want something effective but not too draining, then how about swimming? I don't know how to swim. Seriously, the sea's a rock throw away from here. People actually swim in there? Of course they do. Don't tell me you've never been to the sea before. What do you even do at the sea? Well, you can swim, play beach volleyball, look for seashells and crabs, build sandcastles, or even collect glass stones, stuff like that. Glass stones? Waves can sometimes make glass from sand, which results in translucent stones. Have you never seen any before? No. They come in different colors too. I remember collecting a whole bag of them when I was little. If you hold them out under the sun, they shine in various different colors. Sounds like it'd be very beautiful. Oh, it is. Back at my old place, I had them lined up along with the seashells on the shoe cabinet. One of my relatives made this mosaic picture by sticking them to a canvas. I mean, not professionally or anything, it was more like part of a school project, I think. Either way, it was a scene of colorful fish swimming in the blue ocean. Whenever I went to visit those relatives as a child, I'd be hanging above their shoe cabinet too. It was about this big too. I gestured with my hands, conveying the dimension of a piece of A4 size paper. That sounds a bit like a stained glass window. Yeah, sort of. Honestly, I wanted to make something like that myself, but I'd only just now remembered it. You've been fond of creating things all your life, haven't you? Yeah, I even joined the pottery club back in elementary school. What did you make there? I remember making a vase and an ashtray. I didn't have enough clay, so my vase ended up too small to stick a flower in it. But I shaped it like a tulip instead, which turned out to look pretty nice, so I liked it. It was not me, but the teacher that made the final glazing, so it ended up brown. Sorry, what the fuck are you talking about? Okay. Yeah, this is the fucking, oh my god. This is the dish that disappeared in the first tips we read, right? The tulip dish that disappeared in the room that Narasaki was like taking inventory of. Yeah, it's the same. Okay. The ashtray was a present from my grandfather. I noticed that he didn't have one at home. He used it for quite some time after that. It always makes me happy to set it on the table when I went to visit. The pottery club sounds like fun. It's nice to actually have something tangible after all your efforts. Do you make anything else? I guess I made a bookmark if that counts. You fill a little bucket with water and throw your watercolor on it. The colors mix in all sorts of patterns, and you get something cool looking if you let a piece of paper float and soak in it for a while. I remember doing that in the past. I also made a hand from paper mache. I remember doing that too. That's where you use some thick wires for the base skeleton, close some strings around that, then add the paper mache, right? Yeah, that's right. We made masks, kites, and stamps from it. Back in school, I made stamps in carving class. I really liked how mine came out. I made it have a flower pattern. No matter how often the teacher warns you, there's always someone who gets hurt in that class. It's a bad idea to place your hands in front of the blade. It's better safe than sorry is what you have to keep in mind in that class. I've yet to ever cut my finger, even with a kitchen knife. I should have hurt my hand. It's not just because you never cook. Ooh, got him. Hey, I do cook sometimes. I can even peel a potato with a knife. Then peel an apple for me next time. Sure thing. I took her on. For a moment, Sonny's face looked like Maika's to me. Is something the matter? No, I just wondered about my position in this house. Huh? Anyway, yeah, I made a lot of things. Now that I think about it, I made more stuff than I could even remember. I wonder if children are still like that these days. I wouldn't know. We can ask Kozu about it later. For us, it might be a sweet memory, but for her, it's still school. I also be able to consider it fun the way we do. Does she even go to school? Yeah, school ruins a lot of things, so some of my most boring classes made it feel like time had just stopped. Though we truly did touch upon a lot of things in school, didn't we? I mean, even if we're talking about the art class, we made so many different things when we were there. But then life becomes far more monotone once you graduate. Yeah, I continue making things though. Now that you mentioned it, you worked as a designer, didn't you? Did you choose that career because you've enjoyed creating things ever since you were little? I guess it's partly that, but Takako enjoyed that kind of work too. If we're going out of our way to start new jobs, I figured we might as well choose something we could do together. Tako's really good at painting. She doesn't get as many avant-garde ideas as me, but I could never compare to her in terms of raw technique. Okay, it's interesting that both of them think that the other one is better at painting than them. I see you love her very much. Yeah. Anyway, would you like to go look for glass stones sometimes? That sounds nice. We could decorate Kozue's room with them later. She had very few things. That's a good idea. Okay, that's not the end of the chapter. I ran all the way up to the 3rd floor on the western wing and continued down the corridor. I opened the door to the corner room. I'm coming in, Kozue. Kozue had yet to receive her room key from Maiko, meaning it couldn't have been locked. Hey, don't come in without permission. Don't be a buzzkill. I'm not joking around, okay? Kozue regarded me with a reproaching look. I shrugged and asked what she was doing. I could see the vast golden sky peek through the window. Kozue had been stooping by the shelf next to it. Nothing. Did something happen? She began returning the tower of books she had by her feet to the shelf. Were you looking for something? The last thing she placed on the shelf before finally slamming the glass door shut was a shaped clay figure. I borrowed your toy with rings and fish, if that's it. That's not what I'm looking for. There was nothing in her room besides that shelf and a bag on her head. On her bed, not her head. Maybe you left it in the previous room. I'll go take a look. Can you tell me what this thing is exactly? Don't bother, it's nothing important. You don't need to be shy with me. It's something small enough to fit on the shelf, right? I left the room, not waiting for an answer. I vaguely heard her say that I didn't need to bother. I walked down the corridor, descended the spiral staircase, and emerged on the 2nd floor. A large cloud was blocking the sun. The light in the corridor lit up. Spooky. Did it really take you that long to get to her room? To her whole room, that it's night now? Because the old room wasn't locked yet. With one hand on the doorknob, I flipped the light switch. I waited a few moments, but the room remained dark. Deciding to wait no longer, I stepped inside. Careful of the ghosts! As I let go of the doorknob, the door closed behind me. Gulp! I could no longer see a thing. I took out the flashlight I had prepared. A circle of light pierced the dark, monochrome room, returning some color to the place. A bed with white sheets, an empty shelf with a glass door. The room hadn't changed since I left it at noon. I checked the floor, the ceiling, and finally the window, but found nothing. My light split as it hit the window, dissipating into the dark forest beyond. I pointed the flashlight at the bed again, inspecting it from top to bottom. The room suddenly lit up as a flashlight let out a loud click. Then the light dissipated completely. Wait! I shook the flashlight, but all I did was let out a weird buzzing sound. I clicked the button on the back of its shaft, removed its 3 batteries, changed them up, and returned them to their place. I pushed the light button again, but it still didn't work. Giving up, I set the flashlight into my pocket and walked to the bed. I reached out to the silhouette I saw right before the light vanished. My hand grasped only empty hair. I instinctively drew my hand back and looked at it, but could only see the darkness. It was as though the silhouette had completely vanished. The window, though, which the moonlight had illuminated the room moments before, had disappeared as well. Excuse me? The window has disappeared? The room had completely lost its color and even contours. I blinked and pressed my fingers against my eyelids. Upon opening my eyes again, I realized that nothing much had changed. Extending one hand to help me navigate, I made my way towards the wall. What do you mean the window disappeared? 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, I shook my head and waved my hand around. The wall should have been within my reach, but once again, my hand grasped only air. I took another half a step and struck my leg forward. My toe suddenly touched something, making me stagger backwards. After steadying myself, I realized I could hear the wind. Cool, humid hair caressed my cheeks. My ears rang as I gulped down the built-up saliva in my throat. For starters, I stuck out my red leg to examine the thing I had touched earlier. Through my slippers, it felt like a rock. When I grew conscious of that fact, I realized that my left foot was actually standing not on the floor, but a similar rocky surface. Okay, you're tripping out? I took a step forward, trying to feel the ground below me. As I did, it lit up in a dim, warped monochrome. I shut my eyes to realize I'd been standing on volcanic rocks. Okay. You're in the fucking dwarf fortress, or where are you? I raised my face and lowered my hand, spotting a small light in the distance. It flickered in the darkness, looking like it could disappear at any moment. I gusted of wind passed through the cave with a low-pitched howl. With careful steps, I began walking towards the light. As my hands and ears began to grow accustomed to the area, I quickened my pace. I wished I puddled water. As I raised my face, I saw someone by the light. Takako was sitting there with her back turned to me. Sachi, was what I tried to utter. Yet my throat was too dry for me to make a sound. I quickened my pace. What, is this the tunnel? Is this the tunnel that Satsuko also like freaked out in when she went through it? I looked at Satsuko again as I hurried through the uneven rocky ground. Her straight long hair sparkled in the dim light. I could make out 2 eyes peering at me over her shoulder. They belonged to a small face I couldn't quite make out in the dark. Sachi, the small one, moved as though uttering a word. Satsuko slowly turned around. The light flickered. Okay. Takako. I open my eyes to a starlit sky. You'll catch a cold sleeping here. Good morning. I turn towards the direction of the voice to see Mariko sitting on the edge of the bed with one hand placed on my shoulder. I moved my arm and heard it brush against the white sheets. Mariko, I think the batteries of this thing are dead. I took the flashlight out of my pocket and handed it to Mariko. Really? Mariko took the flashlight in her hands and tried pushing the light button. The room lit up, making me reflexively close my eyes. It seems to be working fine. It didn't when I needed it. Wait, the batteries are almost empty and it's gotten unstable now. I'll change them later, just in case. Yeah, do that, please. I raised my upper body so I'd be at the same height as her. Growing dizzier by the second, I looked at Mariko and the night sky extending behind her. Mariko stood up as though trying to escape my gaze. She turned around and closed the open window. Why were you sleeping in a place like this? I glanced at the door, noticing the bright corridor beyond it. Koze forgot something in here. I checked the room after he cleaned it. There was nothing here. I didn't find anything either. I turned and lowered my feet from the bed into my slippers. Are you going to Kozue's room? I have to tell her it wasn't in this room. We left the room together. Mariko closed the door and locked it with a key from her pocket. I climbed the stairs to the western wing to the third floor and continued down the corridor, careful not to let my slippers make any sound. I could see light coming from the gap of the corner room's door. I walked over to the door and swiftly opened it. I'm back, Koze. Koze raised her head from the book she was reading on a new bed and gave me an indignant glare. I think I started locking my room. Geez, is this how you thank me for looking for your stuff? Koze's gaze wandered for a second, but soon returned to me. So did you find anything? Don't tell me you've forgotten. I sat down in the chair by the bed. There was nothing in your old room, unfortunately. I see. Mariko said she checked it, but didn't find anything either. You can't forget about it then. Koze turned a page in her book. Wasn't it important though? It's not something I can't live without. How come it took you hours to check a single room? It's a long story. Were you worried about me? No. You might be saying that, but I bet you wanted to check up on me. You were just too embarrassed to actually do it, and you were worried that we might end up walking past each other. How on earth could you arrive at that conclusion? I bet I could get a PhD just from examining how your head works. That's what Narasaki did, I think. I could be your assistant. Koze snorted and returned her gaze to the book. Whatever. This is getting dumb. Glancing out the window, I saw the mountains under the dark blue sky. The light of the port town sparkled gently below them. The view's a lot better from the third floor. If you have no more business with me, I would appreciate it if you left. Mariko said dinner is going to be ready soon, and I was wondering if you'd care to join us on the first floor. I see. Okay, why is this half covered in dark when we saw this exact CG before and we saw all of it? It wasn't half covered. This has to signify something, right? Go ahead without me, I'll call Sanae. Is this just to put a sprite in front of? I'm pretty sure we've had some of these where there wasn't a sprite in front of the black half though. And even then, why wouldn't you just put the sprite in front of the normal background? Why do you need this black, this black space? I don't get it. Koze, who had been sitting in the spiral staircase in front of me, turned around and nodded. Takako. I heard a voice as I was about to knock on Sanae's door on the second floor. I turned in this direction, spotting Sanae at the end of the corridor. Were you looking for me? I came to invite you to dinner. Oh, she came closer to me. Can I come dressed like this? Yeah, okay then. Sanae and I descended the stairs to the lobby. Koze was there, playing with the planet model on the counter. I thought she already left. You never told me where to go. To the dining room, like always. Okay. Sorry, I should have told you. It doesn't matter. Koze regarded me with sleepy eyes. Nice conversation. Follow me. I turned back to the corridor and continued to the east wing. As I started humming, Sanae asked what kind of song it was. It's something I heard a long time ago. Looking at Koze just now reminded me of it. It has a nice melody. The stars, the moon, and the earth all go round and round. Is that the lyric of the song? As I opened the door at the end of the west corridor, I found Mariko placing plates from the service card onto the table. Need help? I'm almost done anyway, so better just wait at your seat. In a room about twice the size of our bedrooms, there was a long table with 3 chairs and 2 of its longer sides. The many windows on the wall opposite the corridor gave all who would enter a wide view of the inner yard and the big camphor tree in its center. I lowered myself into the chair near the windows. Maiko, after finishing lining up the plates, sat down next to me. Sunny and Koze seated themselves in front of us. Let's dig in. Itadakimasu! Let those boys grab their chopsticks and began filling our plates. The dinner consisted of takikomi rice, chicken and mushroom sauté, sea bass meunière, and salad with white sauce. Do we have any pepper, Maiko? We do. She lifted out a small wooden jar from the service cart. What do you want to put it on? The fish. But I've already seasoned that. It's okay, it becomes even better with more pepper. I set the pepper jar above my piece of sea bass meunière. I don't know how to pronounce that. Some pepper got into my nose. Maiko was looking at me with a difficult expression. Come on, pepper is a treasure of human civilization. Back in ancient times, it was worth its weight in gold. I'd use the entire bottle if I could. That cost 300 yen at the supermarket, though. I'm glad to have been born in the modern age. The fragrant smell of sauté reminded me of how hungry I was. I gobbled down everything on my plate in a matter of seconds. You eat fast, said Koze. I move around a lot, so I get hungry fast. You might get indigestion from wolfing down your food like that. It's okay, I always eat like this. And that's on Maiko's plate and saw how she still had a good chunk of her meal left. Is there more? No, that's all we had for today. Darn. We don't go outside as much now that it's gotten cold, and it's easy to overeat during parties, so this is just right now to help us stay in shape. Are you saying I got fat? No, this is for everyone's health. She's saying you got fat. I don't care about my weight, I'd rather eat more. Based. You can have this if you want. Somebody pushed her rice bowl towards me. You sure? No. Tako's diet already contains too many carbohydrates. Growth hormone secretion decreases when you sleep if your blood sugar level is too high, and you end up not feeling as rested as you should. Shut the fuck up, let me eat. Really? Yes, you shouldn't eat any more today. Shut up. She handed me a white cup with coffee. I drew the cup to my lips and took a sip. The bitter taste extended across my tongue, eliminating the aftertaste from the other dishes. I noticed Koze staring at me with absent eyes. What? Rather, her eyes seemed to be gazing at something behind me. The ghost? I turned around to see my own face reflected in the glass, and then vaguely made out the camphor tree swaying in the darkness inner yard. In the darkened inner yard. Did you see something there? No. Did you remember my Christmas tree? Tanya, gulping down the takikomi rice, raised her face as well. It was really beautiful. We should have taken a picture. We can do that next time. Yeah, next year. Let's have a group picture and hang it up in the lobby, because we don't want any of you to ever leave the sanatorium. Well, there's a good idea, said Maiko. I felt my throat dry and took another sip of coffee. Maiko elegantly picked up the last mushroom of her sauté with her chopsticks and put it in her mouth. Are you familiar with glass stones, Maiko? You mean those things you can find lying on the beach? Yeah, Sunny said she'd never seen one. Sunny nodded as both of her gaze fell on her. I suggested we all go to the beach when it gets warmer. To swim? That's nice too, but I'd first have to teach Sanae. I thought she knows how to swim. Are you serious? Sanae asked in a heavy tone. It's okay, I'm an expert at swimming. That's not what I meant. Sanae tilted her head down, making her hair hide her eyes from us. What do you think, Koze? Is she embarrassed to be in a swimsuit? I don't like swimming in the sea. Why? The water feels sticky and makes me sick. How about we go fishing then? No thanks. Diligently cleaning her plate, Koze placed her chopsticks on the table. Koze, would you prefer tea or coffee? Tea. Maiko took out a teacup from the service card, filled it up with tea, and handed it to me. I took it from her hands and placed it in front of Koze. So what else could we do if neither swimming nor fishing works for you guys? Why do you want to go to the beach anyway? I just do. Maiko, what else is there to do at the beach? Well, you can build sandcastles or play beach volleyball. I've never done it myself though. She made a faint smile. I suppose you could also hold a barbecue. That sounds good. I could catch all the fish on the spot. With your bare hands, right? We saw that. You can catch fish with your bare hands. Are we talking about fishing again? I could catch them with my bare hands. Yeah, she can. We saw that. If that's what you prefer. I menacingly grabbed the air with my right hand, pretending to be some kind of woodland predator. Is there anything else you'd like to do, Koze? Fireworks. Oh, that's good. We can do that when it grows dark. Let's buy a lot. Is that legal? I feel like you need like a license to do that, right? I just know that rockets are too dangerous, so I'm not allowing those. Yeah, you'll put the forest on fire. Know what fireworks are okay? Don't tell me you'll have to make do with sparklers. Anything that's sold in the store, except the ones that leave pillars of flames. Does that include parachute fireworks? Well, parachute fireworks are probably okay. What's that? Koze cocked her head to the side. It's a type of fireworks that has a parachute inside. After it explodes, the parachute comes gliding down. I've never heard of that. That's right. Running around trying to catch those things is a hallmark experience of summer. The last time I did that, all my parachutes got swept over the sea and I couldn't retrieve them. I'm not going to repeat the same mistake again. Polluting the sea. SMH. Just be careful not to fall into the sea, okay? I won't do that. I'm not a kid anymore. You act plenty childish from where I stand, Kose remarked. Speaking of the sea, said Meiko almost at the same time. I heard this when I was buying groceries, but apparently a steamship going around the world will be making a stop at the port sometime soon. Okay. A steamship? The grandpa from your usual cafe said it was a huge steamship. I didn't know people still used such ancient technology. They do in the West, apparently. The name of the steamship is called the Titanic. We should get on it. Traveling around the world, huh? I wish I could do that too. We could go have a look when it's here. Maybe we'll even get to hold those colored tapes. I'm not boarding it. Seikozo silently placed her chopsticks on the table. Fascinating discussion. Okay, I'm stopping here. I feel like we didn't get that much information in this chapter, right? Obviously, there was the whole deal with Takako having that weird dream in the room. But aside from that, I don't think anything was too relevant. Oh, we also got confirmation for the tulip dish thing. I guess from the first tips. I'm not sure what the tips we saw at the beginning were about though. They seem kind of unrelated, or like not unrelated, but like the word tips implies that like there would be some important information hidden within the tips, right? But I don't see how these are particularly relevant. But maybe I'm missing something. Except for, I'm still hung up on the fact that they were at a bar on the 31st floor of a building. 31st floor? Are you at the fucking World Trade Center? Like, what the fuck? Okay, anyway. Gonna stop here for now. Yeah, see you next time.